So we got a new podcast in the description. I talked about my 5 favorite NBA players ever. George Hill is in there, I'll tell you that now. And then the other part of that was I filled out my Kanye West bracket, finding my favorite Kanye song of all time. Anyway, we're going to talk about Lonzo Ball today. A player who always draws some pretty heated discussion for all the noise around him and his dad and all that. Now, in the title of the video, I use the word haters, which 99% of the time I think is a ridiculous word. But I think Lonzo might be one guy who actually qualifies for that sort of thing, because I've seen statements about Lonzo from people on Twitter and YouTube comment sections that I think are just flat out ridiculous. I've seen people say he's not a playmaker. I've seen them say he can only make the obvious pass. I've seen people say he's bad on defense. I've seen some people say that he's just not that good, right? I have to disagree with pretty much everything that people are saying about the guy. Now, if you're going to say that his lack of a jump shot is a scary thing that's going to hold back his scoring, and the Lakers are going to need a big-time scorer next to him, I think that's very fair, okay? And I think it's also fair to not believe, like, he's going to get to Chris Paul levels of playmaking. I think that's fair as well. But to act like he's some normal passer, that's just ridiculous to me. Now, if we get to that playmaking from Lonzo, I did some searching, and by that I mean I looked up one player, that one player being Jason Kidd, because I think Lonzo and Kidd have a lot of similarities. If you look at Jason Kidd's first season, his assist percentage was 33%, and his turnover percentage was 20%. You compare that to Lonzo, who is at 29% on assists and 19% on turnovers, really not far off from one another. If you go even deeper on the rebounding, they're both very similar. And, I mean, I'll get to the rebounding and the other stuff, but I want to focus on the passing a little bit more. To me, Lonzo, he's already got the classic point guard cliches of reading the defense, anticipating help, and all those things. He's got all that down already, if you ask me. Now, of course, he can improve, but if you just watch the way he'll operate in the pick and roll, the way he'll bring the ball up floor, the way he surveys the play, and also just his ability to make a pass like a second or two quicker than a normal point guard would, tells me he's anticipating things, right? I mean, one of his favorite things to do is throw the ball right on the numbers, by the way, to Brook Lopez posting up right around the basket when he hasn't even crossed half court yet. And that's not the only thing he does. He also delivers really good bounce passes in the pick and roll. I remember against the Nuggets, for whatever reason, the Nuggets decided to like trap Lonzo, which I don't know why you'd do that, but they decided to do that, and he just had this great bounce pass to Brook Lopez where he delivered it in the exact spot to where the help defender coming up to disrupt Lopez getting an open mid-range, he threw it in the exact spot to where Lopez could just get the shot off really quickly, to where it led to an open jump shot. And whenever he's going up floor with a lot of speed, he can deliver pinpoint passes to guys in the corner, because that's another thing, right? Like, some guys, they can make the pass, but it's not a beautiful pass. You know, it's a little too low, a little too high, it's at a guy's side or whatever. Lonzo reminds me of a lot of Rajon Rondo, and he delivers the pass almost perfectly a lot of the time. The other thing he has going for him is he makes those passes that a lot of guys don't even see, where it's like he'll grab an offensive rebound and then he'll immediately throw a bullet pass to the guy under the basket, or he'll throw one to the guy who's open off the baseline. Like those split-second reactions that only a few guys really have when it comes to their playmaking abilities. Now, I do think he gets himself in trouble sometimes. He does still do the classic, like, he has a decently open layup and he passes it to someone who he shouldn't pass to. Like, he's still a little too pass happy, I'll give you that. but the signs are all there for him to be just a great playmaker. I'm talking like 11 assists a game, status of a playmaker. And if you combine that with his rebounding, the fact that his defensive rebound percentage is at 18%, which I believe is actually better than Jason Kidd's was in his rookie year. Kind of makes sense. I would say Lonzo. I mean, he's 6'6", he's taller than Jason Kidd, and neither one of them are like blistering athletes. 7 boards a game is good. I mean, we've seen the effect that can have with just someone like Rondo, let alone Westbrook. I mean, Westbrook's a terror in transition, and Lonzo's not going to be that good in transition, but we've just seen, like, when Rondo was really, really good with the Celtics, him just grabbing rebounds and getting the offense going immediately, and then having the ability to throw those full-court passes to, like, Ray Allen in the corner or something. That just amplifies Lonzo's abilities to run an offense. And if you're a guy like him who's going to struggle with his jumper probably his whole career, let's be honest on this one, because there's pretty much no sign of him being a good shooter. From the field, from three, from the free throw line, he's been bad. We all know the release is awkward. Like, it's well documented, right? If you're able to grab rebounds and take advantage of the defense having to backpedal and, like, just get back, that's the kind of thing that can make up for you, like, running a pick and roll and them going under on you all the time. You know what I mean? So that's good. And I mean, there is a lot of comparisons to Jason Kidd, and Kidd was able to make up for his lack of being a scorer for the majority of his career. He developed the three-pointer later on, but for most of his career, Jason Kidd really struggled from the field, and he made up for that by just being great at everything else. The playmaking, the passing. Kidd was also a great defensive player for a decent amount of his career. It got ugly towards the end. But one thing we should say before we start throwing around that comparison, Jason Kidd was a really good free throw shooter. Well, I don't know about really good. He was decent. He shot 79% for his career, and that did allow him to make up for a few of the missed shots that he would get from the field. So Lonzo, he's at least going to have to get the free throws down. You would hope that that's the easiest thing for him. He did shoot 67% from the free throw line in college, which isn't beautiful, but it's way better than where he's at right now. So, I mean, the lack of scoring is definitely going to be something that he's got to overcome, but I'm saying that he's got the all-around game to where he doesn't need to be a 20-plus point scorer in order to have a really big effect. Now, if we can get to defense, which is another thing that I think Lonzo's gotten kind of a bad rap on. I mean, even way back before he was actually playing in the regular season, in the summer league, I made a video talking about how his help defense really impressed me. He moves along the floor well. He recognizes when to help. He recognizes, like, dude's open, I have to go over there. He does an okay enough job at closing out. I think if you just give him a few more seasons, he can be one of the better defensive point guards in the league, and maybe even a bit better than that. Maybe like one of the, 7 or 8 best perimeter defenders in the league, period. I mean, that's a little ambitious, I admit, but I don't think it's ridiculous to believe that right now. He's got the size, of course, at 6'6", and you assume he gets a little taller, or not taller, stronger. I think it's fair to say Lonzo's going to be a quality defender. He's already not a bad one. The Lakers are a better defensive team, kind of significantly when he's in the game. And funny enough, Lonzo's actually got the best defensive rating on the team among guys who, like, play an actual amount of minutes. I think these are good signs. Of course, defensive rating is not the end-all be-all, but I think it says good things nonetheless. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jason Kidd, right, and you look at Kidd's, what would his prime be? Like when he was, the years when New Jersey was going to the finals, we'll say that. Which was 2002 and 2003. In those seasons, Jason Kidd put up, to sum them both up, he put up about 16, 17 a game, about 9.5 assists, 7.5 rebounds, did not shoot well from the field at all, and was one of the best defensive point guards in the league. I think Lonzo, the scoring will be the toughest part, but I don't think it's ridiculous to think that Lonzo can be that. And if you're that, then you are just a really good player. I mean, does that make you one of the 20 best players in the league? It would depend on how good he became on defense, I guess, but potentially, I mean, that would be one of those things where like the advanced numbers would just love him so much and the Lakers would be a way better team when he's in the game as opposed to not in the game, and the box score numbers wouldn't always tell the whole story, right? So we'll just have to see if he can get there, but I think he's showing good signs so far. If I can even go a little deeper, if you look at this Lakers young team, Kyle Kuzma is having the better season than Lonzo right now. I think Lonzo will end up being a better player than Kuzma, and I actually think Kuzma and Lonzo together, I mean, they've been good this season. I think those two together for a long time could end up being really great because, you know, Kuzma's a really good off-ball player and Lonzo's got the passing ability, so good stuff. Now, of course, if LeBron James and Paul George or just Paul George happens, I don't know, then that throws a monkey wrench in all this, but it's not really the point of this video. The point of this thing is to say Lonzo's good, and if you think he's not good, well, stop it. That's what I would say. Yeah, that's going to do it. Shout out to Lonzo. Shout out to LeVar. Shout out to the Lakers. Once again, new podcast. Favorite NBA players of all time. Kanye West bracket. I'm done.